AITA for refusing to sell my inherited duplex to fund my sister's influencer wedding because my parents think I'm just the mailman? I, 32M, have been a postal carrier for the USPS for 9 years. I started this job after college because I needed something stable while I figured out my life, and somewhere along the way, I realized I actually loved it. I know every house on my route. I know which dogs will bark and which ones wait quietly by the fence hoping I'll toss them a treat. I know Mrs. Patterson needs her medication delivered by noon on Tuesdays, and that the Hendersons always order birthday packages for their grandkids in Florida right before the 15th of every month. I've walked this route in 98-degree heat and 15-degree cold. I've trudged through snowstorms that shut down schools, delivered packages during hurricanes when the wind nearly knocked me off my feet, and kept going during a global pandemic when everyone was scared and uncertain. I show up. Every single day. That's what I do. My sister Emily, 28F, works as a social media manager for a mid-sized marketing firm. She's good at what she does. Really good, actually. She's built followings for several local businesses, and about 2 years ago, she started her own Instagram and TikTok accounts focused on lifestyle content. She's got about 180,000 followers now, which apparently qualifies her as a micro-influencer. Our parents have always treated us differently. Growing up, Emily was the creative one, while I was dependable Marcus. When she got C's in school, they said she was finding her voice. When I got A's, they said I was playing it safe. When she dropped out of her first college to pursue her passions, they supported her emotionally and financially. When I graduated with honors and took the postal exam, my dad literally asked me, "Is that all you're aiming for?" I learned to live with it. I told myself that their opinions didn't define my worth, that I could build a good life regardless of their approval. And I did. I bought a small house 6 years ago, paid off my car, built up a decent retirement account. I'm not rich, but I'm comfortable. Then my grandfather died 8 months ago. Grandpa Joe was the one person in my family who made me feel seen. He'd been a railroad engineer for 40 years, and he understood the dignity of showing up and doing your job well. When I was a kid, he'd tell me stories about delivering mail across the country, about the importance of the postal service to democracy itself. "People depend on you, Marcus," he'd say. "That matters more than people watching you." When his will was read, I learned he'd left me his duplex. It's a modest property in a decent neighborhood, worth about $280,000 based on recent comps. He left Emily $15,000 in cash, and my parents received his car and some furniture. The duplex was explicitly left to me. My parents were furious. Not openly at first. They made comments about how interesting Grandpa's choices were, how they didn't understand his reasoning. But last month, everything exploded. Emily announced her engagement to her boyfriend Derek, who's also in marketing. Great, I was happy for her. Then she announced they were planning what she called an influencer wedding, a $140,000 event designed to be content-worthy with professional photographers, videographers, drone footage, a destination venue, and apparently some kind of brand integration where she'd showcase various products. She doesn't have $140,000. Neither does Derek. Combined, they have maybe $30,000 saved, and their families were contributing another $20,000. That left a $90,000 gap. Plus, Emily wanted a $20,000 honeymoon content creation trip to Bali. My parents called a family meeting last Sunday. I walked into their living room to find everyone sitting there like it was an intervention. My mom had made her serious conversation face, the one she uses when she wants something and is prepared to emotionally manipulate everyone until she gets it. "Marcus," my dad started, "we need to talk about Grandpa's duplex." I felt my stomach drop. "What about it?" My mom jumped in, "we think it would be wonderful if you could help Emily with her special day." "I already said I'd be there," I replied, deliberately missing the point. Emily sighed dramatically. "Marcus, I need actual help. We're $110,000 short for the wedding we've planned, and you're sitting on a property worth almost 3 times that." I stared at her. "You want me to sell Grandpa's duplex to pay for your wedding?" "Not all of it," my mom said quickly. "Just contribute meaningfully. You could sell it, give Emily what she needs, and still have plenty left over for yourself." "That property is generating rental income," I said. "I have tenants. Good tenants who depend on that housing." "They can find somewhere else to live," Emily said dismissively. "This is family, Marcus. This is my wedding." My dad leaned forward. "Son, let's be realistic here. Emily is building something. She's connecting with thousands of people, creating a platform, developing a brand. She's going places. That duplex is just sitting there collecting rent. Rent that supplements my income, I pointed out. You deliver mail, Marcus. My mom's voice was gentle but cutting. You walk around putting bills in mailboxes. Emily is creating content that reaches people, that inspires them. She's building a community online. I serve a community in person, I said quietly. Every day. It's not the same thing. Emily crossed her arms. I have followers who care about my journey. They're invested in my wedding. This could be huge for my platform, the engagement, the visibility. This is an opportunity, Marcus. Don't you want to be part of something bigger than just walking around? I looked around the room at my family, at the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally, and I saw it clearly for the first time. I wasn't their son and brother. I was an ATM with legs, a resource to be tapped when convenient. No, I said. The room went silent. No. I'm not selling Grandpa's duplex. I'm not giving you $110,000. I'm not going to help you throw a wedding that costs more than most people make in 3 years just so you can create content. Emily's face twisted. You're so selfish. You just walk around in the same uniform every day, doing the same boring thing, and you can't even be happy for me? Can't even support your own sister. I support you, Emily. I love you. But I'm not financing a spectacle. You're just jealous, she spat. You've always been jealous that I have ambition while you settled for mediocrity. My mom reached out to pat Emily's hand. He doesn't understand what you're building, sweetheart. I stood up. I understand perfectly. You think walking a mail route is beneath you. You think showing up every day, in every weather, to make sure people get their medications and their packages and yes, their bills, is less valuable than posting pictures of avocado toast. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But Grandpa left me that duplex for a reason, and I'm going to honor that. I left. My mom called after me, something about family and loyalty, but I was already out the door. I drove to the duplex and sat in my car for an hour, just looking at it. It's not a fancy building. 2 units, brick exterior, small yards front and back. But it was Grandpa's, and now it's mine, and I'm not selling it so Emily can have drone footage at her wedding. My phone has been blowing up since then. Emily has apparently told several relatives that I'm sabotaging her future by refusing to help. My aunt sent me a text saying I should think about what family means. My cousin posted something vague on Facebook about people who have resources but won't share them that got 50 sympathetic comments. I feel like I'm going crazy. Am I wrong? Is showing up every day really so worthless? Does my life matter less because I don't have followers? I just wanted to vent. Thanks for reading. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up. Thank you all for the comments and messages. I'm reading through everything. A lot of you are asking why Grandpa left the duplex specifically to me. I honestly don't know. We were close, but he never explained his reasoning. I wish I could ask him. Update 1. I found something in Grandpa's duplex that changes everything. It's been 2 weeks since my original post, and I need to share what happened. First, thank you all for the overwhelming support. I was drowning in self-doubt, and reading your comments helped me realize I wasn't the unreasonable one. Several of you asked about my relationship with my grandfather and whether he ever explained why he left me the duplex. I said I didn't know, but now I do. Last weekend, I went to the duplex to check on a minor plumbing issue one of my tenants reported. While I was there, I decided to go through the storage unit in the basement. Grandpa had lived in the upper unit until he moved to assisted living 3 years ago, and some of his belongings were still boxed up down there. I wasn't looking for anything specific, just wanted to see what was there, maybe keep some sentimental items. I found old photo albums, railroad memorabilia, a box of letters from my grandmother who passed before I was born. Normal stuff. Then, tucked inside an old metal lockbox that I had to pry open with a screwdriver, I found an envelope with my name on it. My hands were shaking as I opened it. Inside was a letter dated 3 years ago, right before Grandpa moved into assisted living. He must have written it and placed it there, knowing I'd eventually find it. I'm going to share the relevant parts because you all deserve to know why this property matters so much. Dear Marcus, if you're reading this, I'm gone and you've inherited the duplex. I'm sure your parents and Emily are upset. They probably expected me to divide everything evenly, or maybe even favor Emily since she's always been the star of the family. I need you to understand why I made the choice I did. Your whole life, I've watched you be overlooked. I've watched your parents praise Emily for dreams while dismissing your achievements as playing it safe. I've seen them give her attention for being loud while ignoring you for being steady. It made me angry in ways I never expressed because I was raised to believe family drama should stay private. But I'm dead now, so what's private? Marcus, you remind me of myself. I worked the railroad for 40 years. I wasn't glamorous. I didn't make headlines. I just showed up every single day and made sure the trains ran on time. When I retired, nobody threw me a parade. No one wrote articles about my impact. I just stopped working, and life went on. But here's what I know, every single day I showed up, I mattered. The people who depended on those trains, the businesses waiting for cargo, the families waiting for travelers, the mail waiting to be delivered, they needed me. They needed someone who would be there regardless of weather, regardless of mood, regardless of whether anyone noticed. You understand this. You understand that showing up every day matters more than being flashy. You understand that serving people quietly is just as valuable as entertaining them loudly. Maybe more valuable, because flashy fades but dependable endures. I'm leaving you the duplex because I know you'll take care of it. I know you'll be fair to the tenants, maintain the property, and treat it as a responsibility rather than a commodity. Your sister would sell it within a year to fund whatever shiny thing caught her attention. Your parents would tell her to. I don't say this to be cruel about Emily. She's not a bad person. But she was raised to value visibility over substance, metrics over meaning. That's not her fault, it's how your parents shaped her. But it means she doesn't understand what real work looks like. You do. I'm proud of you, Marcus. I've always been proud of you. I should have said it more when I was alive. Every time you told me about your route, about the people you serve, about braving storms to deliver packages, I was proud. You carry on a tradition that goes back to the founding of this country. Benjamin Franklin was a postmaster. The mail has always mattered. You matter. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Not your parents, not your sister, not anyone. Show up. Every day. That's what men like us do. Love always. Grandpa Joe. P.S. There's $8,000 in cash in the bottom of this lockbox. It's yours too. Maybe take a vacation. You deserve it. I sat on the basement floor and cried for about 20 minutes. I haven't told anyone about the letter yet. I'm not sure if I should. Part of me wants to read it at the next family gathering, wants to see their faces when they hear Grandpa's words. But another part of me thinks it's private, sacred, just between me and him. For now, I'm holding on to it. The $8,000 is in a safe deposit box. I'm not sure what I'll do with it yet. What I do know is this: I'm never selling that duplex. Grandpa trusted me with it because he knew I'd honor the responsibility. I won't let him down. I've also decided to stop engaging with my family's pressure. I haven't responded to texts or calls in a week. My parents left a voicemail yesterday asking if I'd reconsidered, and I deleted it without listening past the first sentence. Emily posted something on her Instagram story about family who don't support your dreams, with a sad face emoji. She didn't name me, but it was obviously about me. 300 people responded with heart emojis and supportive comments. None of them know me. None of them know the full story. But they've all decided I'm the villain. It hurts. I won't pretend it doesn't. But Grandpa's letter sits on my bedside table now, and I read it every morning before my route. It reminds me what I'm worth. I'll update again if anything significant changes. Update 2. My parents showed up at my workplace. I thought about not posting this, but so many of you have been supportive, and I need to process what happened. 3 days ago, my parents showed up at the post office. I was in the back, sorting my route for the day, when my supervisor came and told me I had visitors. I assumed it was a resident from my route. Sometimes elderly folks stop by to thank me or ask about a package. I was not expecting to see my mom and dad standing in the lobby looking like they were preparing for battle. "Marcus," my dad said, "we need to talk. Privately." My supervisor, a good guy named Paul who's been in the service for 25 years, looked at me questioningly. I nodded and told him I'd take my break early. We went outside to the parking lot. It was cold, probably 40 degrees, but I didn't feel it. I was too focused on keeping calm. "Your sister is devastated," my mom started immediately. "She's had to scale back her wedding plans. She's talking about having a small ceremony now because you won't help. Do you understand what you're doing to her?" "I understand that I'm not selling my inheritance to fund a party," I replied. My dad shook his head. "It's not a party, Marcus. It's her wedding. It's one of the most important days of her life. And you're ruining it because you want to play landlord with a building you don't even need." "I do need it. It's part of my retirement plan. And Grandpa specifically left it to me. Your grandfather wasn't thinking clearly at the end, my mom said. He should have divided everything fairly. It wasn't right for him to give you so much more than Emily. He gave me the duplex because he trusted me with it. He gave you the duplex because you manipulated him, my dad snapped. You were always over there, always sucking up to him. You probably convinced him we didn't care about him. I felt like I'd been slapped. I visited him because I loved him. When was the last time you went to see him? When was the last time Emily did? Neither of them answered. I visited him every week for 3 years, I continued, my voice rising despite my effort to stay calm. I brought him groceries. I sat with him and listened to his railroad stories. I made sure he took his medication. Where were you? We were busy, my mom said weakly. We have lives. So do I. But I made time because he was family. Because showing up matters. My dad's expression hardened. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You think you're so much better than everyone because you show up. Like the rest of us don't work hard. Like Emily's career isn't work. I never said that. It's implied in everything you do. Walking around like some kind of martyr because you deliver mail in bad weather. Lots of people have hard jobs, Marcus. You're not special. That one hit deep because I've never claimed to be special. I've only ever wanted to be acknowledged as valuable. I took a breath. I'm going back to work now. Please don't come here again. I turned and walked inside. My mom called after me, something about family responsibility, but I didn't look back. Paul found me a few minutes later while I was loading my truck. Everything okay? I didn't know how to answer. Family stuff. He nodded like he understood. You know, I've been doing this job for a long time. 25 years. I've seen a lot of carriers come and go. You're one of the best I've worked with, Marcus. The residents on your route adore you. You never call out. Never complain. That's rare. I didn't know what to say. Whatever your family is going through, he continued, remember that you've got a family here too. We've got your back. I managed to thank him before starting my route. I walked it in a daze, muscle memory taking over while my mind churned. But something shifted as I went from house to house. Mrs. Patterson thanked me for always being on time with her medication. The Hendersons' grandkids, visiting for spring break, ran out to say hi and show me their new puppy. A young mom on Elm Street told me I was the highlight of her toddler's day, because her son loved watching for my truck. These people didn't know about my family drama. They didn't know I was supposed to be the forgettable one, the mailman who wasn't building anything important. They just knew I showed up, and that mattered to them. By the time I finished my route, I'd made a decision. I'm going to read Grandpa's letter at the next family gathering. Update 3, the family gathering and what Emily said. It's been 2 months since my last update. A lot has happened, and I need to share the conclusion of this story. Last Sunday was my cousin's birthday party at my aunt's house, a big annual gathering where most of the family shows up. I'd been dreading it for weeks but also preparing for it. I'd made copies of Grandpa's letter, one for each family member present. I'd practiced what I wanted to say. I'd thought through every possible reaction and prepared myself for the worst. When I arrived, the atmosphere was tense. Word had clearly spread that I was the villain of the family narrative. Relatives I hadn't spoken to in months gave me tight smiles. My parents avoided eye contact. Emily, who had arrived early with Derek, was surrounded by sympathetic aunts who were admiring her scaled-back engagement ring. Apparently she'd exchanged the original for something more modest when her influencer wedding fell through. About an hour into the party, during a lull in conversation, I asked if I could have everyone's attention. I have something I need to share, I said. It's about Grandpa. The room went quiet. My mom looked horrified. My dad looked angry. Emily looked confused. I pulled out the letter and began to read. I read every word, including the parts about Emily being raised to value visibility over substance, including Grandpa's pride in me, including his assertion that showing up every day matters more than being flashy. My voice cracked in a few places, but I got through it. When I finished, no one spoke. Then Emily started crying. Not the dramatic, attention-seeking crying I'd expected. Real crying. Deep, ugly sobs that shook her whole body. Derek put his arm around her, looking confused and uncomfortable. I didn't know, she finally said, her voice barely audible. I didn't know he felt that way about me. Emily, my mom started. No. Emily held up her hand. No, don't. Don't tell me he was wrong. Don't tell me Marcus manipulated him. She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. Grandpa was right. About all of it. Sweetheart, you're upset. My dad tried. I'm upset because I've spent my entire life chasing metrics, Emily said, her voice gaining strength. Followers. Likes. Engagement. I've measured my worth by how many strangers on the internet pay attention to me. And I looked down on my own brother because his work doesn't have a comment section. She stood up and walked toward me. I braced myself, unsure what was coming. I'm so sorry, Marcus. Her voice broke again. I've been such a terrible sister. I asked you to sell your inheritance, Grandpa's legacy, so I could throw a party designed to go viral. What is wrong with me? I didn't know what to say. This wasn't the reaction I'd prepared for. I've spent weeks being angry at you, she continued. Posting vague things online to make myself feel better. Getting validation from strangers while treating my own family like garbage. And the whole time, I thought I was the victim. My mom stood up. Emily, honey, you haven't done anything wrong. Stop. Emily turned to face our parents. You did this. You raised me to think I was special because I was visible. You praised me for dreams and dismissed Marcus for achievements. You told me he was boring and I was exceptional. And I believed you. We never said, my dad protested. You said it constantly. Maybe not in those exact words, but the message was clear. Marcus was the backup. I was the star. She laughed bitterly. Some star. I have 180,000 followers and I can't even maintain a real relationship with my own brother. The room was completely silent now. My aunt was clutching her drink like a lifeline. Cousins were exchanging shocked glances. My parents looked like they'd been physically struck. Emily turned back to me. I don't expect you to forgive me. I wouldn't forgive me. But I want you to know, I see you now. I see what Grandpa saw. I'm sorry it took me so long. I hugged her. It wasn't a conscious decision. My arms just moved, and then she was hugging me back, crying into my shoulder, apologizing over and over. And for the first time in maybe our entire adult lives, I felt like I actually had a sister. The rest of the party was awkward. My parents left early, barely speaking to anyone. Other relatives came up to me afterward, some apologizing for believing the worst, others just offering quiet support. My aunt told me Grandpa would have been proud. I managed not to cry again until I got home. Final update. 5 months later, what Emily built. It's been 5 months since the family gathering, and I owe you all a final update. Emily canceled her influencer wedding. Completely. She and Derek got married 3 weeks ago in a small ceremony at the courthouse, followed by a backyard reception at Derek's parents' house. 40 guests. No drone footage. No brand integrations. No photographer trying to capture content-worthy moments. It was beautiful. During her toast, Emily said something I'll never forget. She talked about how she'd spent years being visible, performing her life for an audience, measuring her worth by engagement rates, treating every milestone as content. And then she looked at me. My brother taught me something important, she said. He taught me that being consistent matters more than being visible. That showing up every day, for the people who depend on you, is more valuable than showing up occasionally for the people who watch you. I spent years trying to be seen. Marcus spent years trying to be useful. Guess which one matters more? She raised her glass to me, and I had to look away to keep from losing it completely. But here's the part that really surprised me. Emily changed her platform. Her Instagram and TikTok used to be typical lifestyle content, outfits, coffee shops, curated home aesthetics. Now it's entirely different. She calls it the Essential Series, and it's dedicated to highlighting essential workers. The first video she posted after the family gathering was about me. She rode along on my mail route with her phone, documenting what the job actually looks like. The early mornings. The heavy bags. The weather that doesn't care about your comfort. The dogs that bark and the dogs that wait for treats. Mrs. Patterson, who agreed to be filmed, explaining how my reliability with her medication has given her peace of mind for years. The video went viral. Not viral by influencer standards, no millions of views, but viral by real standards. It got picked up by local news. Then a national outlet did a short segment on it. People started commenting about their own mail carriers, sharing stories of the postal workers who'd been showing up for them for years. Emily's followers didn't all stick around. She lost about 40,000 people in the first month after her pivot. They wanted lifestyle content, she told me with a shrug. I'm giving them essential content now. Different audience. But she gained new followers. Her account now has 215,000 people who specifically follow because they want to see her interviews with sanitation workers, nurses, bus drivers, grocery store employees, warehouse workers, the people who kept the world running during the pandemic and keep it running still. Last month, she did a whole week on rural mail carriers. She traveled to 3 different states, documenting routes that span dozens of miles, carriers who know every family by name, the critical role the USPS plays in delivering medications to people who can't easily get to pharmacies. The engagement was incredible, but more importantly, the comments were meaningful. People sharing their own experiences. Carriers thanking her for the visibility. Families expressing gratitude they'd never known how to voice. "You inspired this," she told me on the phone last week. Grandpa's letter, everything it said, it made me realize I'd been chasing the wrong kind of visibility. I wanted to be seen. But you showed me it's better to see others. I don't know if I deserve that credit. I'm still just a mailman. I still walk the same route I've walked for years. I still show up in the heat and the cold and the rain and the snow. Nothing about my job has changed. But something about my family has. My parents and I are still working through things. They apologized, stiffly, awkwardly, the way people do when they're not quite sure they believe their own apology yet. We're doing monthly dinners. Progress is slow. But it's progress. Emily and I talk every week now. Real talks, not obligatory sibling check-ins. She asks about my route. I ask about her videos. We share memories of Grandpa. Last month, we went to the duplex together and she helped me plant a small garden in the backyard. Tomatoes, peppers, herbs. Something Grandpa always wanted to do but never got around to. The tenants love it. They've started helping with the weeding. I still have Grandpa's letter on my bedside table. I don't read it every morning anymore. I don't need to. The words are inside me now, part of how I see myself and my work. But sometimes, on hard days, I'll take it out and trace his handwriting with my fingers. I'll remember his voice, his railroad stories, the way he'd clap me on the shoulder and say, "You matter, Marcus." He was right. I do. And so does everyone else who shows up every day, in every weather, to keep the world running. The people who don't have followers but have routes. The people who don't have engagement metrics but have responsibilities. The people who aren't building platforms but are building trust, one consistent day at a time. Emily's trying to make sure the world sees them now. And that's a kind of visibility I can believe in. Final edit. A lot of you have asked about Mrs. Patterson since I mentioned her in the video. She passed away 2 months ago. Her daughter found me after the funeral to tell me that Mrs. Patterson had talked about her mailman often in her final months, especially after Emily's video. She'd apparently re-watched it several times, proud to be included. I walked in her funeral procession. The family asked me to. Said it would have meant the world to her. I still deliver to that house. New residents now, a young couple with a baby. They don't know Mrs. Patterson. They don't know the video. But they know I'll show up every day, and that's enough. That's always enough. Thank you all for following this journey. Grandpa was right. Showing up matters. It matters more than anything.